of the county legislator, and the county executive, Laura Curran. Boker Tov. And Newsday reports that even as Richard Nicolello heads the majority, Republican in this case, and Laura Curran is the county executive on the Democratic side, they're getting on well. And the article was really, I was really touched by it. Anytime I need to speak to him, this is Laura Curran speaking, he's there. Richard Nicolello is there. We will not always agree, but we can always have a civilized conversation. And that's important. And Curran says, I have a lot of respect for him, and I enjoy our conversations. And this is where it really caught my eye. I hope we can show Washington a thing or two about how to disagree respectfully. So allow me to discuss this subject a little bit more. And I'm trying to make efforts to bring Republicans and Democrats together to kind of bury the hatchet. And as Laura says, to show Washington that we can disagree respectfully. But in general, every area of our life has been, undermined by this incivility. You can't have a conversation. I'd like to first quote from George Washington. He was all of 16 years of age, and he said the following: "Let your conversation be without malice or envy, for it is a sign of tractable and commendable nature. And in all causes of passion, admit reason to govern." You hear, my friends? This is from George Washington, written sometimes before the age of 16. We often forget that our fellow citizens are more similar to each other than dissimilar. Our goals and ambitions more analogous than antagonistic. As a consequence, our public and private discourse has become, I can't believe this, so intensely personal, focused on differences rather than consonants, so that friendly, family, and work relationships are frequently in peril over these conversations. Civility to most people is simply being polite, reasonable, and exhibiting respectful behavior. When people disagree, discussions become personal attacks. Instances of rudeness for other people are common. You find it in the grocery stores, in city streets, and even between neighbors. Most Americans believe that this era of incivility is harmful to our country's future. Many surveys indicate that 1 of 3 workers believe that their workplace is uncivil, leading to job dissatisfaction, burnout, stress, workplace aggression, as we've seen sadly where a number of employees and employees, they return to their job site. What do they do? To exact revenge, and sadly what we've seen recently, to commit mass murders. I share with you the findings of Dr. Gary Namey, a psychologist. He co-founded the Workplace Bullying Institute. And he says that the lack of civility and bullying go hand in hand. And he asked the following important question: how in the world can we stop bullying in schools, in the workplace, in politics, when it's so close to our national character right now? Did anybody think about that? So what is civility? Civility is claiming and caring for one's identity, needs, and belief without disregarding someone else's in the process. It's about disagreeing without disrespect, or being disagreeable, seeking common ground as a starting point for dialogue about differences, and listening past one's own preconditions, stereotypes, and prejudices. Good manners are the way we express our civility to others, and essentially to managing good relationships. Humans are hypersocial creatures, and manners, conscious and unconscious acts that demonstrate our attitude to those around us, my friends, are crucial when establishing, maintaining, enhancing connection and rapport. Since personal happiness or unhappiness to a large part depends upon the quality of relationships that we have with each other. Therefore, building more harmonious relationships through good manners, civility, guess what, can actually lead to a better quality of life. So therefore, now I'm going to share with you, my friends, several conditions that will help you lose your good manners. Yeah, I'm going to tell you exactly. You want to be not to be a mensch, to be uncivil. Do the following: exercise little personal restraint. See others as the means to an end, rather than ends in themselves. You want to lose your manners and be uncivil? Pursue your financial gain and personal achievement above everything else. Suffer continuous stress and fatigue, and allow strangers to remain strangers. So you don't want to be a mensch? Follow my advice. Do those things. Political divide, gewalt geschrigen. As a consequence of the overheated rhetoric fueled by partisan 24/6 or 24/7 news reports, the anonymousness of the internet, and the tendency of people to believe unsubstantiated rumors and blatant fake news fabrications, civility is difficult to achieve, since we often mistake political people on the other side for enemies. As Dr. Naimi says, if we are in a constant warlike mode society, it sounds trivial, it sounds childlike, it sounds naively utopian to say, can't we all get along? And of course everybody rolls their eyeballs, right? When I suggested and made some effort to bring Republicans and Democrats together, there were those who rolled their eyeballs. Rabbi, come on. What are you wasting your time for? I want to tell you something. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to not to ignore the cultural wars. And if we do, it's at our own peril. And I want to share with you, and I know that Dr. Kolshevsky will love this. In the portion of Va'era, it speaks about how God ruminates, so to speak. Should he tell Abraham that he's about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Vashem Omar, God says, Hamachas ani ma'Avraham asher ani oseh? Am I going to hide that which I'm about to do? And then the Torah goes on to say, God says, Avraham will be a great nation and will be a blessing, and he's going to continue this on with his blessings to his children and grandchildren all the way into the future. And then God goes on to tell him what's going on. And the question is, why does God, bring this in? And why do we have to have this whole conversation? God is thinking about this. And then says yes, and talks about what Abraham's role is. The answer is very simple, my friends, that we have, so to speak, a mission. If we see something that is bothering us, and we can add to this, Torah is telling us, God says, should I tell him? Shouldn't I tell him? God says, I'm going to tell him. And I'm going to tell him because I'd like to hear his response. I want Abraham, the first Jew, I want to hear his opinion. He is someone who's going to have to bring a people into this world who will continue goodness and righteousness through their children. Welcome to Christy Das. And therefore, this is a basis for us to appreciate. If we can make a difference in people's lives, we better, that's our opportunity. So even if people roll their eyeballs at me and say, Rabbi, be realistic. You're a wimp, someone tells me. You're a wimp, wasting time on these things. I don't think I'm a wimp. No, my friends, I think that if you see something and you can make a difference, and I'm inspired by the teachings of my great leader, the Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, who said that if you can help society with acts of goodness and kindness, and to discuss morality and discuss education and discuss the importance of living a good life and following the 7 no-hide laws. Wow, that's fantastic. So Dr. Kolshevsky thinks that God was not hesitating, but the fact that he questions it. He's ruminating back and forth. Should I not tell him? Because at the end of the day, he wants to emphasize, yes, because I want someone to see, do they agree with me or not? Is it moral? Is it not moral? And we know what happened over there where Abraham tries to intercede and do the right thing. So what are the techniques to improve civility? I don't have all day here, my friends, so listen carefully. Despite our differences in skin color, religious preferences, age, occupations, guess most of us are seeking harmony and living a good life. The majority of us seek to live in an environment where bullying is rare, if not eliminated. We mutually desire safe workplaces and schools and shuls where each person is respected and considered valuable. Almost everyone agrees that the level in civility in our communities is leading to stress, unhappiness, violence, and loss of hope. It is the responsibility of every one of us to pursue and practice civility. Practicing the following techniques, I can think, can lower the emotional heat in our relationships, even when you find, unable to find, I should say, a common ground for agreement. And I would suggest, understand the other person's perspective. You know, what's the adage? You can't understand another person's experience until you walk a mile in their shoes. It's particularly true when it comes to perspective. While it can be difficult to look at issues from the viewpoint of those who disagree with you, logic and humility require you to recognize that other people's desires for comfort and happiness is just as valid as your own. Another thing I think would be helpful, and I try to practice this, be empathetic. The root of many contentious relationships is a presupposition that the other side neither understands nor cares about the feelings or opinions of the other party, probably due to previous experiences. As a consequence, what happens? They're belligerent, determined to strike first in the anticipated battle for this emotional power. Your best strategy is to ignore their aggression, my friends, and express empathy for their position. Showing understanding is not the same as agreement. Demonstrating that you understand their position, as well as the reasons they have come to their conclusions, guess what? Allows you to proceed without the emotional baggage that complicates reaching some sort of an agreement. It also places the focus on the issue, which is the problem today. No one thinks about issues anymore. It's all about you, who you are, you're a left, you're a Trumpist, you're this, you're that. Everything is name calling. So it also places focus on the issue rather than on the two parties. So you can actually work together to arrive at a mutually satisfactory collusion. And I refer you today to Newsday on the article that speaks about Richard Ricconello. He's actually the legislator that covers Mineola, which explains why he's such a nice guy. And, of course, how he gets on as a Republican with the Democratic county leader. Very fascinating, very, very appropriate. And perhaps when you talk about something, it actually has an effect. I found this many times. You start campaigning about something, you talk about something, eventually, it seeps down in there. I think also important, talk about saving lives and being careful and empathetic. I want to remind everybody that on August the 14th, we, Chabad of Mineola, are sponsoring a free Narcan training session. What is Narcan? Narcan is a drug that reverses the effects of heroin and opioid overdoses. Why does this matter? As you know, Nassau County here and surrounding communities, we're all battling heroin and opiate epidemics. And sadly, many people have lost loved ones over this. So how can you help? Well, come to this training session. It takes place on Tuesday, August the 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. No charge at Chabad Mineola on 261 Willis Avenue. We have our great Narcan teacher, Chas Thompson, who's the fire commissioner of Lido Point Lookout, an MTA, and a member of the EMT for more than 38 years, and he will be leading us in our 5th session. So please, to all my listeners and all my viewers, please join us. Come and help save a life for everybody. That's also part of civility, caring for others. This is your host, Rabbi Pearl, wishing you the best. Sei gesund, and don't forget, use the month of Elul with all the blessing that comes with it. Have a wonderful, safe week, and enjoy.